There's something you need to understand about men. A man can control his words, control his emotions, control his expression, and even pretend that he does not care. But he cannot control every little thing he does when his feelings are real. You can tell yourself that he is just being friendly. You can tell yourself that you are imagining the connection. You can tell yourself that maybe he treats every woman this way. But deep down, you already know when something feels different. Because when a man truly has feelings for you, his behavior starts telling a story that his mouth refuses to tell. He may never say, "I'm falling for you." He may never admit, "I think about you when you're not around." He may even act like he has everything under control, but feelings have a way of escaping. They show up in the way he looks at you. They show up in the way he remembers things you thought he forgot. They show up in the way his energy changes when you walk into the room, and they show up in the things he does when nobody is asking him to do them. So if you have been sitting there wondering, does he really feel something for me? Or am I just reading too much into it? Pay attention, because sometimes the truth is not hidden in what a man says. The truth is hidden in what he consistently does. The first sign is simple but powerful. He pays attention to the little things. A man who has genuine feelings for you does not just hear you. He remembers you. You might casually mention that you love a certain song, and weeks later, he remembers it. You might tell him about something important happening in your life, and later he asks you how it went. You might mention something you were worried about, and somehow he checks on you without making a big announcement about it. That matters, because attention is one of the most valuable forms of affection. People make time for what matters to them, and they remember what matters to them. You can have 100 conversations with someone and still not know what is important to them. But when a man is emotionally invested, your words start taking up space in his mind. He remembers your stories. He remembers your preferences. He remembers your frustrations. He remembers the things you said when you thought nobody was listening. And sometimes he will surprise you by bringing up something you completely forgot telling him. That is not always an accident. That is attention. And attention is often where feelings begin to reveal themselves. The second sign is that he finds reasons to be around you. Now, understand the difference between a man who simply enjoys your company and a man who is trying to create opportunities to stay connected with you. When a man likes you, he does not always need a dramatic excuse. Sometimes the excuse is almost ridiculous. He asks you a question he could have answered himself. He sends you something that reminds him of you. He suddenly appears where he knows you will be. He stretches a conversation that could have ended 5 minutes ago into an hour. Why? Because he does not really want the interaction to end. When someone enjoys your presence, they look for more of it. That does not mean every message means love. It does not mean every interaction means he wants a relationship. But when you see a consistent pattern of him creating opportunities to connect with you, that pattern deserves your attention. A man who feels nothing has no reason to constantly manufacture moments with you. He might be polite. He might be friendly. He might respond when you reach out. But when he starts initiating, creating opportunities, and looking for ways to remain connected, something has changed. And you need to stop ignoring patterns just because you are afraid of what they might mean. The third sign is that his behavior changes around you. This one is powerful because a man can prepare his words, but his body often tells the truth before his mouth does. Watch his energy. Watch his eyes. Watch how he carries himself when you walk into the room. Does he suddenly become more aware of himself? Does he fix his clothes? Does his voice change? Does he become more playful? Does he become quieter? Does he suddenly seem nervous, even though he normally appears confident? Sometimes attraction does not make a man smoother. Sometimes it makes him awkward. A man can be confident around everybody else and suddenly forget what he was about to say when the woman he really likes walks in. Why? Because now the interaction matters, your opinion matters, your reaction matters, your presence creates an emotional response. And that is something he may not be able to hide. Look at his eyes, especially. A man may control what he says, but sustained attention is harder to fake. If you repeatedly catch him looking at you when he thinks you are not paying attention, then quickly looking away when you notice, that can be meaningful. Not because one glance proves anything, but because repeated behavior creates a pattern, and patterns tell you more than isolated moments. The fourth sign is that he becomes protective of your feelings. Now, being protective does not mean controlling you. It does not mean jealousy. It does not mean telling you who you can talk to or what you can do. Real emotional investment often looks much quieter. He notices when you are uncomfortable. He notices when something is bothering you. He asks if you are okay. He tries to make sure you get home safely. He remembers what hurt you and tries not to repeat it. He may even become careful with his words because he knows your feelings matter. That is important because when a man genuinely values you, he does not treat your emotions like an inconvenience. He may not understand every feeling you have. He may not always know what to say, but he cares about the impact he has on you. There is a difference between a man who wants access to you and a man who values you. One wants your attention. The other cares about your well-being. One appears when it is convenient. The other starts considering you when he makes decisions. One wants what you can give him. The other begins asking himself what he can give you. And that difference becomes impossible to ignore over time. The fifth sign is that he starts letting you see a side of him that other people do not see. Men are not always comfortable being vulnerable. Many men are taught to hide weakness, hide fear, hide disappointment, and keep their deepest emotions locked away. So when a man starts opening up to you, pay attention. Maybe he tells you about something from his past that he rarely discusses. Maybe he shares a fear. Maybe he talks about a dream he has not told many people about. Maybe he admits something that makes him feel insecure. Maybe he tells you about a mistake he still thinks about. That kind of openness can mean he trusts you. And trust is not a small thing. A man does not have to tell everybody everything. Sometimes the woman he feels emotionally connected to becomes the person he naturally wants to talk to. He may not even realize how much he is revealing. He may start with something small, then another story, then another. And eventually you realize that he has opened the door into a part of his world that he keeps closed to most people. Do not rush to force that door open. Do not interrogate him. Do not demand vulnerability. Let him reveal himself naturally. Because the strongest connection is not built by forcing someone to open up. It is built by creating a space where they feel safe enough to do it. And if he repeatedly chooses you as that safe space, that tells you something. The sixth sign is that he starts considering you in his future. Listen carefully, because this is where casual interest and serious emotional investment often separate. A man who is only enjoying your attention may talk about today. A man who is becoming emotionally invested may start talking about tomorrow. And somehow you are included in the picture. He might say, we should go there sometime. He might talk about an event months from now and assume you will still be around. He might discuss plans and naturally include you in them. He may ask what you want to do next year. He may become curious about your goals, your dreams, and the kind of life you want. That does not automatically mean he is ready for commitment, but it does mean he is mentally making room for you. And that is significant because people do not naturally build future pictures around people they have no intention of keeping in their lives. Again, do not take one sentence and turn it into a promise. Watch consistency. A future conversation means very little if his actions never support it. But when his words, behavior, effort, and consistency all begin pointing in the same direction, then you are seeing something much stronger than simple chemistry. And the seventh sign may be the biggest one of all. He becomes consistent, not perfect. Consistent, because anybody can be intense for 3 days. Anybody can send 100 messages when they are bored. Anybody can say beautiful things when they want something. But consistency reveals intention. If he cares, he keeps showing up. If he values the connection, he protects it. If something matters to him, he does not disappear every time life becomes inconvenient. You do not have to constantly chase him for attention. You do not have to beg for communication. You do not have to keep proving that you are worth effort. His behavior begins speaking for him. And this is where you need to change your mindset. Stop obsessing over whether he likes you. Start observing whether his behavior deserves your trust. There is a major difference. You do not need to decode every text message. You do not need to analyze every emoji. You do not need to replay every conversation in your head at 2 a.m. You need to step back and watch the pattern. Does he respect you? Does he make an effort? Does he remember you? Does he communicate? Does he make space for you? Does he show up when it matters? Does he make you feel secure instead of constantly confused? Because the right question is not simply, does he have feelings for me? The better question is, what is he doing with those feelings? A man can have feelings and still be emotionally unavailable. A man can be attracted to you and still not be ready for a relationship. A man can miss you and still not know how to love you properly. So never confuse feelings with commitment. Never confuse attraction with compatibility. And never confuse attention with genuine value. Your job is not to convince a man to choose you. Your job is to pay attention to whether he is choosing you through his actions. Because when a man truly values a woman, she does not have to spend every night wondering where she stands. She may not know everything immediately. But over time, his consistency makes the answer clearer. And that is why you should never chase clarity from someone who keeps choosing confusion. Let his actions speak. Let time reveal the truth. And most importantly, never abandon your own standards just because you are afraid of losing someone. Because the woman who knows her worth does not beg to be understood. She observes. She listens. She watches. And then she makes a decision based on what she sees. That is where your power begins. And once you understand that, everything changes. You stop trying to force a man to reveal what is inside his heart. You stop chasing answers. You stop staring at your phone, wondering why he is not called. You stop creating excuses for inconsistent behavior. And you start watching what happens when you give him space to show you who he really is. Because sometimes the most powerful thing a woman can do is nothing. Not because she is playing games. Not because she wants to manipulate a man, but because she understands that you cannot discover someone's true intentions while constantly doing all the work for them. If you are always initiating, you will never know whether he would have reached out. If you are always planning, you will never know whether he would have made a plan. If you are always checking on him, you will never know whether he would have checked on you. Sometimes you have to step back, not to punish him, but to create room for reality to speak. And reality has a very clear language. Effort, consistency, respect, presence. When you step back, the man who genuinely values you does not simply forget you exist. He notices your absence. He wonders where you are. He feels the difference. And sometimes that silence makes him confront feelings he was avoiding. Because when you are always available, a man can become comfortable without ever becoming intentional. He knows you will call. He knows you will forgive. He knows you will come back. He knows you will keep giving. So why would he be forced to confront what he truly wants? But when you stop carrying the entire connection, something becomes visible. Does he come toward you? Or does he simply let you disappear? That answer can hurt. But sometimes the truth that hurts you for a moment saves you from wasting years. And this is why you have to stop measuring your value by how strongly a man reacts to your absence. Your value does not increase because he misses you. Your value does not decrease because he does not. Your worth existed before he noticed you. Your worth remains whether he chooses you or not. That is the mindset you need, because love should add to your life, not become the entire measurement of your life. You should have your own goals, your own dreams, your own peace, your own identity, your own standards. And when a man enters that life, he should be joining something meaningful, not becoming the only meaningful thing in it. There is a difference between wanting someone and needing someone. Wanting says, I would love to have you beside me. Needing says, I cannot be okay without you. And when you become dependent on someone's attention to feel valuable, you give that person too much power over your emotions. You start accepting behavior you would normally reject. You start calling disrespect misunderstanding. You start calling inconsistency being busy. You start calling mixed signals complicated feelings. You start calling breadcrumbs no. You have to become honest with yourself. If a man likes you but repeatedly makes you feel unwanted, confused, anxious, or insignificant, his feelings alone are not enough. You deserve more than hidden feelings. You deserve visible effort. You deserve more than chemistry. You deserve consistency. You deserve more than words. You deserve behavior. And you deserve a relationship where you do not have to constantly investigate whether you matter. Think about that. You should not have to become a detective to figure out whether someone values you. You should not have to analyze every message. You should not have to ask your friends what his 3-word text means. You should not have to search the internet for the meaning behind every change in his behavior. Sometimes the answer is much simpler. Watch what he consistently does, because actions repeated over time become character, and character tells you more than promises ever will. Now, there's another important lesson here. Do not expect every man to express love in exactly the same way. Some men are naturally verbal. Some are not. Some are affectionate. Some express themselves through actions. Some need more time before they become vulnerable. Some have been hurt before. Some are afraid of rejection. Some were never taught how to communicate emotions. So do not demand that every man fit one specific emotional pattern. Instead, look for sincerity, look for progress, look for effort. If he is naturally quiet but consistently shows up, that matters. If he struggles to express himself but makes an effort to communicate, that matters. If he is nervous but still moves toward you, that matters. Because courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is taking action despite fear. And sometimes the man who truly cares is not the smoothest man in the room. He is the man who keeps trying. He may stumble over his words. He may not always know what to say. He may take time to open up. But you can see that he is making an effort. An effort tells you where someone's priorities are. At the same time, do not romanticize emotional unavailability. This is important. Do not convince yourself that a man who ignores you for weeks is secretly deeply in love. Do not tell yourself that disrespect is actually passion. Do not interpret manipulation as jealousy. Do not turn emotional distance into some mysterious sign of hidden love. Sometimes a man is distant because he is distant. Sometimes he is inconsistent because he is inconsistent. Sometimes he does not communicate because he does not want to. You have to be mature enough to accept reality even when fantasy feels better. Because self-respect means choosing truth over imagination. If he wants you, let him demonstrate it. If he values you, let him demonstrate it. If he is serious, let him demonstrate it. You do not have to force the evidence. And when you stop forcing it, you become much more peaceful. You stop asking, how do I make him chase me? You start asking, is he showing me enough to deserve access to me? That is a completely different mindset. The first question gives him all the power. The second question puts your standards back in your hands. And that is the mindset of a woman who understands her value. You are not auditioning for love. You are not competing for attention. You are not begging someone to recognize what you bring to the table. You are simply observing whether the person sitting across from you has the maturity to appreciate it. And if he does, beautiful. Build something meaningful. Communicate. Grow together. Give each other grace. But if he does not, have enough courage to walk away. Because sometimes walking away is not losing someone. Sometimes walking away is finally choosing yourself. And here is the truth that many people learn too late. The person who is right for you will not require you to destroy your peace just to keep the relationship alive. There will still be challenges. There will still be disagreements. There will still be misunderstandings. No relationship is perfect, but there should also be effort. There should be accountability. There should be respect. There should be communication. There should be a willingness to meet each other halfway. Because love is not one person running while the other person watches. Love is two people walking toward each other. And if you are always the one walking, eventually you have to stop and see whether he will take a step too. That is not a game. That is information. And information gives you freedom. So remember those 7 signs. He pays attention to the little things. He creates reasons to be around you. His behavior changes when you are near. He becomes protective of your feelings. He allows you to see his vulnerable side. He starts making room for you in his future. And most importantly, he becomes consistent. But do not look for just one sign. Look for a pattern. One moment can be misleading. A pattern is different. A pattern tells a story. And if the story is filled with respect, effort, consistency, attention, and genuine care, then maybe the feelings you sense were not your imagination. Maybe he really does feel something. Maybe he has simply been afraid to say it. Maybe he is still figuring out how to express it. But if the story is filled with excuses, disappearing acts, confusion, disrespect, and empty promises, do not waste your energy trying to find hidden love beneath obvious indifference. You deserve clarity. You deserve peace. You deserve someone whose actions make you feel valued. And never forget this. The goal is not to make a man obsessed with you. The goal is to build a connection where two people genuinely value one another. The goal is not to manipulate someone's emotions. The goal is to become so secure within yourself that you no longer accept less than what you deserve. The goal is not to chase. The goal is to choose the person who chooses you. Choose the person who respects you. Choose the person who communicates. Choose the person who shows up. Choose the person whose presence brings peace instead of constant uncertainty. And if that person is not ready, do not make his unreadiness your responsibility. You cannot love someone into emotional maturity. You cannot communicate someone into commitment. You cannot sacrifice enough to make another person value you. That decision has to come from them. Your responsibility is to protect your heart without closing it, to remain loving without becoming desperate, to remain hopeful without becoming blind, to give people opportunities without giving them unlimited access to hurt you. And when you finally understand that, you become dangerous in the best possible way, because you stop chasing validation. You stop begging for attention. You stop settling for potential. You stop falling in love with what someone could become. You start looking at who they actually are. And that is where real confidence begins. So if you are watching this right now and wondering whether he has feelings for you, take a breath. You do not need to panic. You do not need to chase. You do not need to send another message just to see whether he responds. Step back. Observe. Let his behavior unfold. Give time a chance to expose what words are trying to hide, because eventually people reveal themselves not in one dramatic moment, but through repetition, through choices, through consistency, through the way they treat you when they have nothing to gain. And when you stop trying to control the outcome, you become free to accept the truth. Maybe he has feelings. Maybe he does not. Maybe he is ready. Maybe he is not. But whatever the answer is, you will be okay, because your happiness cannot depend on one man's decision. Your confidence cannot depend on one man's attention, and your worth cannot depend on whether one man recognizes it. You were valuable before he noticed you. You were valuable while he was confused. You are valuable if he chooses you, and you are still valuable if he walks away. So keep your standards high. Keep your heart open, but keep your eyes open too. Listen to what he says, but watch what he does. And when his words and actions finally match, you will not have to spend your nights wondering. You will know, because real feelings eventually demand real behavior. And when a man truly values you, you will not have to chase him to discover it. You will see it. You will feel it. You will recognize it in the consistency of his actions. And most importantly, you will never have to lose yourself to keep him.